Oh my goodness, it was dark back there. Hey there, this is Pastor Roland D of Alive Church, and I want to invite you to our special worship service this Sunday, 10 a.m. You can join us for our virtual experience where you can connect with us on YouTube, The Alive Church KC, or Facebook, Alive Church. Be there Sunday, 10 a.m. Will you join us?
Everyone, I am Lady E, and I am the First Lady of Alive Church here in Kansas City, Missouri. And I'm so excited that you have decided to tune in tonight as I bring to you my September book club discussion, where I talked with Michelle Williams and Sharon Turner, who is a professional life coach, about Michelle's book, Checking In. It was such a phenomenal conversation, and my expectation was that women would be able to get free from whatever it was that was holding them back, and to really own in on our emotional and mental health. And that is the conversation that we had for the September book club. I'm super excited to show you this clip from the book club, and I want you to go to Anchored Woman on Facebook and join, because over there we have great conversations as women, and no woman is left behind in Anchored Woman. So I want you to go to Facebook and join Anchored Woman group so that you will get notified of all of the events that we have coming up for 2022, including new quarterly check-in events that we're going to be having for next year. So excited. And you can also watch the replays of the book club on the Alive Church KC YouTube page, and just look for All Things Lady E, and there you will find all of my materials for my book club and videos that I often post onto YouTube. Listen, I am so excited to have you join me. You can also visit me at thealivechurchkc.com or allthingsladye.com to get more information about our October book club coming up, so that you can become part of the conversation as well. I pray that you enjoy the video that we're about to show you. I pray that you get something out of the discussion. As a matter of fact, I know that you will. I was super excited to talk with Michelle Williams and Sharon Turner, and it was such a great conversation. I can't wait for you to check it out.
No hey problem. Sharon, good to see you.
Hello, good to see you. Glad you're here.
Yes, everyone. Michelle Williams, you all know her, singer, songwriter, actress, now author, so many things. Best known for her, she was in Destiny's Child, and just all around just fabulous. So welcome, Michelle. We're so glad to have you on.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if there are any men on here,
there's a few.
I just want to say hello. I see Tanika, Ashley, Monique. Y'all, please pardon my tardiness. I don't know what time you guys are getting off tonight, but you guys have me until whenever.
Yay! Awesome. So, Michelle, I was just talking to Sharon just kind of about what checking in and checking out looks like to her. And so one of the things that we were talking about was in your book, you said we're busy and we're tired. And when we get a minute to be alone, we want to check out, but we need to check in. And so I just want to kind of talk to you about, first, what made you decide to write the book and release the book in the middle of this global pandemic? How is this relevant for us right now? How do you
know, I actually, that was a concern of mine. I asked my publisher, HarperCollins and Thomas Nelson, I said, y'all sure y'all want to release this book right now? Mm-hmm. Because I come from the school of, we would do in-store signings and meet and greets. I said, right. So this is going to prohibit me from doing that.
Right.
But they looked at the number of people who were reading books during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
They also were looking at the number of the rates of depression spiking during the pandemic.
Right.
And I think a lot of it was fear induced, mm-hmm. but nevertheless, the numbers of depression were spiking.
Wow.
Now, numbers of depression was probably spiking because some folks was probably at home with their spouses a little longer than they,
and their kids. And their kids.
So they was like, Lord, the spirit of depression has fell upon me.
Yes. Yes.
I know, but
Wow.
seriously, and I also felt that I was in the space and in my journey of healing where I wanted people to come along with me
Hmm.
because the journey of healing is daily.
Wow.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's lifelong, but to come along with me on this journey to now even let's see how I respond to things in 21 versus how I responded in 2018.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Wow. That is
Yes.
so awesome. That is so awesome.
Yes, yes, yes. Y'all tell everybody that we're on in case
Yes.
anybody jumped off because they didn't. They was like, Michelle ain't coming. Yes, I am. So,
Yes, hit like, hit share on YouTube. Make sure that you tell someone to hop on because we are live.
yes.
We are
Hey,
live. Yes.
Will Parker, ladies, y'all put your wigs back on and come back in.
Right. Right. Right.
I've done so
Woo.
many cool virtual sessions where one woman was like, "Girl, I literally just repositioned my hair to come on here to see you guys." So
Right. Right.
that's what made me say, in case anybody was needed to take their wig off, put it right
Right.
back
Take the
on.
wig off. Put it back on. Put it back on. Awesome. Awesome. One of the things that I really wanted to dive into, Michelle, is in the book you describe that you actually started planning your funeral, right?
Oh, yeah.
Can you walk us through kind of that and what was that the breaking point that made you realize that you really did need to get help?
Um. Yes, in 2018, I got a little too comfortable with the thought of suicide.
Mm,
Mm.
Sharon, I'm sure you and Lady E can testify to that, those aren't things we would say in church.
right.
Because how many of us have been comfortable with the thought of, I wonder what it'd be like if I left this world, but we get in the choir stand or we lead praise and worship, we preach,
Ooh,
we
yes.
serve, we serve on the nurses auxiliary, hospitality,
Mhm.
we get up and read the announcements, we usher people into the presence of the Lord, still feeling like I don't I feeling like your time here is done. And I began to literally play let's make a deal with God. I said, God, I've lived a great life. There couldn't possibly be more for me to do on this world. I've
Wow.
I've done well. I've done good.
Wow.
Now, who am I to say that to God? And he's like, you don't even know. I've got so much more.
Just
Mm.
getting started.
I got
Just
so
getting
much
started.
more for
Yeah.
you, right? So, I think for me, when I got a little too comfortable with the thought of suicide, I got on at the time I talked to my therapist to let her know what was going on. And I was like, I don't feel safe with myself anymore.
Mm,
It's not that I had a plan of suicide. I just was getting too comfortable with the thoughts.
right.
Anything you keep thinking, you actually do or you become,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Wow.
And to me, that was the place where I was like, okay, I believe I want to live, but I'm still kind of teetering on, well, maybe I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Wow.
plant of confusion, which is
Mm-hmm.
nothing but the enemy.
Yes.
I tell people all the time, well, y'all know as well, the enemy does his job daily.
Mm-hmm.
Still kills and destroys, Sharon.
Yes.
He
Mhm.
does his job daily.
That's right.
So how I decipher what those thoughts are is this a God comes that we might have life,
That's right. Mm-hmm.
even with our thoughts. Is it a life-giving thought? If it is not a life-giving thought, it didn't come from God.
Right. Right.
So those thoughts of me not wanting to live was by the enemy. And when I mean also, he is also not the author of confusion, because remember, I was battling living and dying at the same time.
Mm.
That was not in that. He was not in that at
Wow.
all.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Michelle, as you were in that space, what was it that even had you slow down enough to know it was time to talk
Mm.
to someone?
That's good.
Woo! So by the time that happened in July of 2018, the symptoms of depression had come back in January
Mm.
of 2018. And a lot of personal things going on, transition. I had moved from Illinois to LA. that was giving me anxiety because I moved from my sense of countryness and wild animals. Even where I live has a lot to do on my mental health space.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to LA, the place of high anxiety, the place of, hey, everybody, I'm here having to do meetings, this and that,
Right.
this and that. And it was funny because I moved to LA in December of 2017. January of 2018, I'm in rehearsals with Beyonce and Kelly Rowland for Coachella. So you would think I'm with my sisters. All is well. In March, I get engaged to, like, you would think the man of my dreams, honey.
Mhm.
Like, just we weren't even together a year, and he knew I was his wife, right?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
In April, I performed. We do Coachella. We were doing good, but I didn't tell anybody. The symptoms of depression are back
Mm.
because I didn't want anybody to be like, well, you're engaged. You're with
Wow.
your sisters performing. And that's why a lot of us don't say anything because we're so afraid of what someone's response is going to be.
Oh, yeah.
Versus you never know. One person might respond and say, I'm going to hold your hand. I got you. I'm going to pray with you. Or are you in counseling? Are you in therapy? And so
Mm-hmm.
what happened was as well, I stopped going to therapy on a regular basis. I was only going to therapy to vent when a problem would arise
Mm.
versus applying what I was given in therapy
Yeah.
so that it doesn't happen again, or when it does happen again, I will have a different response.
Right. Right.
Very
I
good.
don't do that anymore.
Wow.
I mean, from 2018 till now, from the end of 2018 and now, I'm still processing things. It's not that anything is wrong. I don't want people to think, well, if you're going to therapy, that means you don't trust Jesus.
Right.
No, sometimes it's good to process trauma, process pain, because the root of depression and some anxiety is trauma.
And let's speak to that.
Unhealed,
Yes.
unhealed and unprocessed trauma.
Absolutely.
So it's good to say, Sharon, it's good to tell
Mhm.
somebody, I was abused when I was 7 or 8, and I'm trying to figure out why I respond at 35 like a 12-year-old.
Wow.
Well, your therapist will say, what happened at 12? What happened at 7?
Right, right.
You know?
I
And
love that you brought that up. And this question can go to either one of you, but there's just such a thing where people say if you go into therapy, a mindset of you don't have faith and just trying to pray the depression away. And I'm not saying that God can't do a miracle and you can be, completely healed, but I'm saying that there's nothing wrong with being in therapy. There's nothing wrong with seeking out getting help. And how do you balance that with someone who may be thinking, but I have faith, so I don't need to go to therapy, because that's a sign maybe of weakness of me going to therapy. And like you said, Michelle, when you stop going, when it's been helping you and you stop going, and then you have to kind of start all over again.
Yeah.
You think, I'm good now. I don't need to go back. So speak to, and this can go, Sharon, we'll start with you.
Mhm.
Just what does it look? I mean, how should they process that with, I have faith, but I know that there's something else that I need to be able to fix within me.
Mm.
There's a lot of unpacking there,
Mhm.
Lady E. But I will say that one of the things that we've done, and I'm really proud of where we are as a nation, we're really talking about mental health awareness and really getting the message out about it is okay to seek help.
Yes.
We have come a long way with that, and so I think more and more people are talking about it, such as Michelle in her book, and even now and through your platform.
Yes.
But I also think that as believers and as Christians, we also shortchange ourselves when we think we only want Christian counseling.
Ooh,
Mm.
good.
In the mainstream, through our jobs, there may be an EAP program, or there may be insurance outlets that will pay for counseling. And when you go to seek counseling, you may be with a counselor or a therapist that is a Christian.
Right.
And having that connection of someone that prays before their sessions, that pray for you,
Yes.
and really have a ear from God in how to deliver
That's
during
good.
services.
That's
So
good.
I would encourage the body of Christ not to limit ourselves with just looking for Christian counseling, but just being open to seeking the counseling. Now, to go back to the original question you asked, how do we go get there or get started? I think the first thing is what Michelle said earlier, finding someone that will listen to you, that will be objective, that you can be accountable to. So when we take off maybe the association of a therapist or a psychologist, but having someone to help guide us, it makes it a little bit more bearable, and it
Right.
doesn't. You're
Mm,
still in control. You're
Yeah.
still in charge of that
Right.
whole session.
Yeah.
But it's just really communicating that so people can understand it's not a place of
yeah.
weakness,
Right.
Yeah.
but
Michelle, you want to add to
empowerment.
that? Yeah, absolutely.
Just how many people are walking around carrying burdens, carrying the heaviness of abuse or
Yeah.
shame and guilt? How many? There's so many people and are still thriving and successful.
Yes, that's true.
Hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so
Yes.
Dr. Anita Phillips, I don't know if y'all are familiar with her, but
Mhm.
she is partnered with Sarah Jakes Roberts on Woman Evolve, and she has her own podcast. But not only is she a pastor's wife and a minister herself, but she is
Right.
a licensed therapist.
Yes.
And she has a saying that says, prayer is a weapon, therapy is a strategy.
Mm,
Ooh. Ooh, I love that. I
yeah.
love that. That is so good.
So there are
Somebody
times
put
when,
that in the chat for me. Prayer is a
and it's
weapon.
actually, she actually put it on a t-shirt. I bought two of them, one in
Yes.
camouflage and one in gray and
Right.
black. So it's prayer is a weapon,
Yes.
therapy is a strategy.
Mm. Mm.
So
That's powerful.
there are times where in my therapy session she drops something heavy on me, like, ooh. And I go to God after that therapy and I'm like, Lord, you heard what she said now.
Right.
What we gonna do about this?
Yes. Yes.
So I just want to encourage us when we do the work, I'm not saying when you're in a situation and you're weak that God won't step in, but I feel like
Mhm.
sometimes too, when we do the work, or he'll use other people to
Mhm.
help us and give us revelation.
Mm.
And then things around you start changing. Not only things around you start changing, but things inside of you start changing.
Yes.
Mhm,
Yes.
mhm.
When
Absolutely.
I started going to therapy, I started having it helped me to have compassion on those who wronged me, betrayed me, abused me,
Wow. Wow.
because it lets you know maybe what they were going through as well.
Yeah. Wow. A different perspective. Yes.
It don't make it okay,
Wow. Right.
because even I have been the inflictor of pain,
Wow. Yep.
Mm,
Yeah.
but it don't make it okay
Right.
that I hurt somebody. But it makes that other person, especially if they've been in counseling, to say, Michelle, I understand where you were. I've been there too. I
Mm.
forgive you. I'm sorry too
Mhm.
for saying this
Mhm.
or doing this.
Wow. And
Mhm.
I'm just sitting here thinking about Michelle, you just being able to put your story out there and to get the help. And so people may look at you and say, okay, you're famous, you're in Destiny's Child, you sing in arenas all around the world, you travel all around the world, you do all these things. How do you have depression? Like, what do you have to be depressed about? And I think that is the same mindset that a lot of leaders have. They don't want to show that weakness, that
Mhm.
I'm suffering. And when I got the statistics about how many pastors commit suicide every
Help us,
year,
lady.
and the statistics about how many pastors have depression or suffer through depression, or pastors' wives that are going through depression, leaders in the church who, like you said at the beginning, every Sunday we get up, we usher in the presence of God, but on the inside, we're crying out for help. How did you overcome those stigmas of you, Michelle Williams? Like, you have nothing to be depressed
Mhm.
about. You have all these things. What gave you the courage to be able to step
Mm.
out and say, I need help?
When a person is desperate,
Mm.
they
mm.
have no shame.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
So shame and desperation do not
Mm.
coincide. They do not live together.
Wow.
Shame had to go out the door. When
Woo.
I walked into that treatment facility back in 2018, I wondered, I said, I wonder if they gonna know who I am, especially when I have to, because I can say my first name is Tanitra.
Right.
My middle is Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you my name, Tanitra, and maybe you'll just kind of gloss over it, be like, well,
Right.
you look like Michelle, but you said your name is Tanitra.
Right.
But once I have to hand over my ID,
Mm-hmm.
it's wait a minute, you look like.
Right.
So I worried about that, but I
Mm-hmm.
was like, y'all, I hadn't even waxed my lip hair. I couldn't care.
Right.
I didn't
Desperate.
care.
Yes.
Desperate.
Yeah.
Now, there are public figures where may not be to the magnitude of TMZ finding out your whereabouts, because TMZ found out my whereabouts somehow. To this day, I don't know how.
Wow.
But I could see if a pastor or somebody, what if he checks into a treatment facility and
Yeah.
somebody finds out? I'd rather that happen than you take your life.
Yes.
Yes.
I'd rather that happen than you act on what happens when you're in a weak moment. Y'all know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
men and women.
Right.
I'd rather you go to that treatment facility, that rehab facility, than to lose your family in ministry.
Mm. Mm.
That's
So
powerful.
desperate, so shame and when you're
Desperation.
desperate and you want your life, and you want your ministry, and you want your family, you'll do whatever it is you got to do
Absolutely.
to live.
Yes. Wow.
Not only physically live, but having a great quality of life, period.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So I yeah, I don't even remember. I remember, yeah, I just walked in like, well, you know, and I stayed
Yeah.
under my first name of Tanitra, but still somebody peeped game and ran their mouths, and
Right.
TMZ found out. But I was like, God, you always work stuff out
Yes,
for
he
our
does.
good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if this hospitalization of mine not only saves my life, it's going to save others.
I'm telling you, the book is just phenomenal, phenomenal. And
Thank
I want to
you.
pose a question to you, Sharon, kind of as a follow up to what Michelle was just speaking about. So we're talking about checking in, and we're checking in with ourselves. We know when we're off. What signs as a clinician can you give us to help other people? Like when we need to check in with our girlfriends, when we see something is off, like what signs do you see that we can know, hey, I need to check in on her and really see how he or she is doing?
Good question, Lady E. And before I answer that, I just want to say, isn't it awesome that in our brokenness, that's when God does His
Yes.
best,
Preach.
and,
That's so good.
so
Yes.
it's okay to. I mean, it takes a lot for that broken place, but it's just you come out just so refined and
Yes.
so much grateful for who God is in our lives.
Absolutely.
So answering that question, Lady E, it goes back to where Michelle put in the book with checking in and having that relationship with others. So if you are a person that take pride in your outer appearance,
Mm-hmm.
your hair is done, your nails are done, your clothes are matching, and then you start just showing up, no makeup, wrinkled clothes, just your whole physical appearance just totally looks different. It's just chipping away.
Mm-hmm.
As your friend, you say, is something going on? This isn't you.
Mm-hmm.
Or if a friend notices that you are a very positive person, maybe, and you begin to have a different demeanor about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that accountability piece of, this isn't like you. You're usually a cup that is half full or overflowing, and you're
Right.
coming from a space of more
That's so
anger.
good.
It is.
Just having that level of insight about a person, or if you're a person that's used to going places and doing things and very active, exercising, and you haven't done your regular physical routine in say 3 weeks. Hey, what's going on? You haven't been on your
Mhm.
Peloton.
Right. Right.
We haven't had our dates on the track.
That's
Right.
so good.
Levels of things where you start seeing that people are withdrawing. is really key. When you see that they are and they're avoiding your calls,
Yeah.
they may be brushing you
That's
off,
right.
and just
Mhm.
totally withdrawing and isolating themselves could be a factor.
Mhm.
Or it may be a person that may be in a hyper mode, and you start seeing their spending has increased, where they're
Mhm.
shopping and getting every sale, and they're just doing more extremes over here,
Right.
drinking more, um,
Okay.
Yeah.
different things like that. So people could begin masking and trying to come up with different vices of how to handle things. So
Absolutely.
when you
Michelle.
see someone that is out of character and
Mhm.
totally making some changes, I think that's a point where you want to check in with your friend and
That's
see
good.
what's going on.
That's really good. That's really good. Michelle, do you have anything that you want to add about that? Just
I loved it, especially when she said, when someone starts spinning that you got all the iPhones and Androids.
right.
Because a lot of times shopping, you do to feel good. It increases certain levels, hormone
Mhm.
levels, and then sometimes when you get home, you're like, did I just buy that?
Mhm.
Yes, you
Mhm.
did.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, I would say, like you said, withdrawing from some of your favorite activities.
Yeah.
And not only in adults, but watch for your kids when their grades start
Mm.
Oh,
dropping.
that's good. That's
For
really good.
me, my symptoms of depression began as early as the seventh grade.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about children where um, when they are, like I said, grades dropping, they're withdrawing from social events, they're got their door shut. And see, parents, you can miss it because you're thinking, oh, they're just teenagers. They just like to be by themselves. They think they
Right.
grown. I'm gonna give them a little privacy. They like to have their door closed. But are they sleeping all day and night when they get home from school? You thinking they're
Yeah.
just playing video games
So good.
or they're scrolling on their phone. Check
Mm.
to see they could be suffering from some depression.
Mm.
For me, I remember bullying started in the fourth grade, and so are sometimes in creating that safe place for your child to
Yeah.
be able to come to you, even if you ask them and they don't tell you right away,
Mhm.
continuing to keep that door of communication open
Mhm.
and keep
Mhm.
creating a safe environment. Eventually, they might say, I don't know how to articulate this, but I am down, mommy. I'm not
Right.
okay, dad.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely.
So but that takes creating that safe place. What is that safe place? When your child comes to you, don't beat them down. Shut
Right.
up. Don't talk back. Let them
So
express as
good.
long as it's respectful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let that child
Absolutely.
express because you might be able to discern and you might be able to get to the root
Yeah.
of some of their behaviors and get them in some counseling
Right.
to see what's going on.
Absolutely. So rich. So good. So much.
Yes.
So we've talked about some of the natural things, but now I want to shift into the supernatural, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
know that that's really where it all happens is the supernatural. So Michelle, tell us how the Word of God helped you in your healing. You talked about standing on the Word in your book and being able to, have the Word of God as you went through your process of healing. So talk to us a little bit
Mm-hmm.
about that, how that was relevant.
You know, I'm guilty of sitting in my favorite blanket of dysfunction, my favorite blanket of laziness. My
Mhm.
my we just wrap up in it because it
Right.
feels good and comfortable.
Yes.
Because applying that word can take work, especially when circumstances or your emotions and mood don't change right away.
Right.
So it was literally me replacing those thoughts that weren't life-giving with
Mm.
those thoughts about what does the word say about life and what
Yes.
does it say about standing? What does it say about being an overcomer?
Yes.
And to that, once again, coupled with counseling, coupled with even going to work out. I don't work out to look good. I literally love how I feel
Mm-hmm.
when you're walking around your park neighborhood, grab some girlfriends. Now, some folks you might have to carry a gun and a knife. I don't know. Get out there. Get on out there and take that walk.
Right.
Y'all, everybody in Kansas City should Brush Creek Boulevard should be safe
Yay.
enough for you. And where's the area where Cheesecake Factory and all those fancy stores are? What's that
Oh,
area?
that's the plaza. So
Come on.
everybody, Michelle is really a Kansas City girl at heart. Hey, you want to tell them how your connection to Kansas City last night? She said she was talking about Topsy's popcorn
I
and
said, where's the Topsies, Lady E? I don't want nothing from this chat, but send me some Topsies. My godparents, Charles and Carolyn Collier, live in Kansas City, Missouri. I've got cousins in Raytown,
yeah.
Missouri.
Wow.
We used to fellowship with the church called I just said the name. Um, the pastor elder Hubert Lambert
Okay.
passed away almost 30 years ago, but
Mhm.
our church, my church in Rockford, Illinois, St. Paul Church of God in Christ, we used to fellowship with the church. We used to come every year. We'd stay at the Crown Center.
Mhm.
Crown
Mhm.
Plaza was the Crown Plaza or
Crown Center.
something. Crown
Yep. Crown
Center.
Center. Yep. Yep.
Um, and when my parents would let me and my siblings and cousins be grown, and they drop us off at Bannister Mall for about a
Listen.
couple hours, honey, we thought we was grown. You hear me?
Right. Right.
And so I really just loved coming to Kansas City. We'd come
Wow.
once or twice a year,
That's awesome.
every spring and summer.
That's awesome.
So that's how I know about Kansas City.
Yes. Yes.
Me taking your walk
Right. Right.
to along the plaza or someplace, they round up your girlfriends.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
when you're feeling depressed, I didn't want to even listen to praise and worship music.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
that's the trick of the enemy.
Yeah.
He wanted to deplete
Mhm.
where I get my strength from.
Ooh.
Feeling
Yes.
guilty about even reading the word of God, because how did I allow myself to get in such a dark place? I felt
Right.
so much shame, so much shame.
Wow. Wow.
But I just look back at the receipts. I call them the receipts of God's
That's
grace
good.
on my life.
That's good. I like that.
Mm.
Receipt.
And just know that there is no don't the shame can come, but prayerfully it quickly lifts off, because some of us, we were raised in church. Not only were we raised in church, we began to develop our own personal relationships with Christ. And so you might feel a little guilty, like, Lord, I can't believe that I just kind of not only withdrew from my family or my favorite
Yeah.
activities, but I withdrew from you.
Ooh.
Mm.
Yes. Yes.
But he didn't withdraw from us.
Mm-mm.
Why? Because we were still alive to tell the
Yeah.
story.
Yes. 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 Yes.
And
Wow.
so you're standing on his word, standing on absolutely everything that he says about you. He
Yes.
loves you so much.
Yes.
And he wants you to live. I mean, Rich Tolbert, the song says, I'm alive because there's more.
Ooh. Yes. 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 Man,
We don't
that is so
determine
good.
when it's over. We
Mm-hmm.
don't.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm. Wow, that is so good. And one of the things that I really was praying to God about with the book club this time was just I wanted women and men to get free. I wanted them to get free from the depression, from the anxiety,
Yeah.
from the worry. And so I just feel like some people are getting free tonight. That I just feel that they really, really are
Praise
getting
God.
free. And even though you may have depression, or you may feel like you're on the verge, and you're going through your own process of healing, I think it's so important to throw that spiritual part in there, because death and life are in the power of the tongue, right? And so
Amen.
we can't keep going around just saying I'm depressed, I'm depressed, I'm depressed. But like you said, think of yourself as an overcomer. Think of yourself as being victorious. And some days that may be harder than others, but you got to get in your word and know what God says, and not necessarily just go off of how you feel all the time.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
You know what? A friend of mine, when you say death and life are in the power of the tongue, we know that's biblical. A friend of mine, I've been saying this, gosh, practically in lots of interviews, especially when
Mhm.
I discuss my book.
Mhm.
A friend of mine brought it to my attention about what the definition of the word future means.
Mm.
Now, everybody in the chat, whether you're YouTube, Facebook, or however this platform is used,
Mhm.
put in your chat what you know the word future to mean.
The word future.
What does the word future mean? Miss Sharon, what do you know it to mean?
Hope, tomorrow,
Mm.
yet.
Miss Lady E, what do you know the word future to be?
Yeah, I was gonna say beyond today. Hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something to come.
Fate. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, it's literally in the dictionary. It says the time or period of time following the moment of speaking or writing.
Mm.
Ooh. Wow. Wow. Some people are putting it in the chat. They said it means to come. Future is the present, beyond today, after today. After, wow.
Somebody got it.
Yeah.
Future is the present.
Ooh.
The
Mhm.
future is now.
That
Some
is
of us
so
are
good.
in a
Good.
some of us are in a future that we spoke or wrote.
Ooh.
Mhm.
The past is also speaking or writing.
Wow.
Profound.
What has come out of our mouth that we spoke?
Come on now. Oh my goodness.
Let me give you an example. When I got engaged, I used to always repeat, we're not ever going to get married. We're not going to make it down the aisle. We're not going to make it down the aisle.
Wow. You didn't make it down the aisle.
Did not.
Mm.
Whether
Mm.
that was an act of God, I don't know, but we didn't.
Wow.
Okay. The same conversation I'm having with the person who gave me that revelation of the word future. I was having a moment. I said, I'm the only person in my close spheres friends not married or without kids.
Mm-hmm.
He said, don't you ever say that again.
Wow.
He said in our time of speaking, he said that's the only thing you've ever said that's made me upset. So I'm like, and I reread what I said.
Ooh.
I said, I am the only person unmarried.
Wow.
I reversed that. I didn't
Mhm.
mean to keep
Yes.
this. I didn't mean
Oh,
it.
that's so good. That is so good. Ooh.
I am not depressed. Dr. Caroline Leaf taught me that. I am not depressed. I feel because
Ooh.
Miss Sharon too, emotions are natural human responses.
Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Somebody breaking your car, you're going to be what? Angry.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be fearful. You lose a loved one. Some of y'all might be happy, but I was sad when my daddy passed.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so just embrace those emotions, but don't live there and
That's
wear that
good.
as a label.
Mm.
Very
You know,
good.
I'm just an angry person because my daddy was always angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just gonna be like this because this is just who I am.
Am. Oh, so good.
Mhm.
Oh
Mhm.
my goodness.
Did what Jesus like? I am.
I am that I am. Yeah. Mm.
I
Yeah.
am. So I am what? I am healed.
Wow.
I am an overcomer.
Mm-mm.
That is so
I'm
powerful.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead, Michelle.
No. You go ahead. I've been
Ooh.
talking too much.
That is so powerful because when you talk about checking in with God, we know that sometimes the trauma that we have experienced in our lives, and we carry that baggage of the anger or the shame or guilt, sometimes hinders us from checking in because
Wow.
we
Yeah.
may not be able to connect, because we've been carrying it for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And so to hear you say and talk about the I am and really speaking to the healing and to the whole self is really good. Can you speak to working through some of the trauma as well as the guilt and the shame that you experience so that you can dig deeper in your relationship with God?
That's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, I've had to really process some things spoken over me. One of the things that was evil that said, I wish you were the blood stain on the sheets.
Mm,
Okay. I'm just keeping it real quick. Because how
Yeah.
many of us people said things to you out of anger or
Yeah.
whatever? So when you say you wish I was the blood stain on the sheets, you wish that I wasn't here.
Mm.
So I've gone all this time always feeling like I'm in the way. I'm
mm,
a burden. Even in my just interpersonal relationships, I would kind of shrink because I feel like I'm in the way.
Mm.
I'm not supposed to. I just got revelation now that I'm not supposed to be here.
Wow.
mm.
Woo!
Mm. Man.
So
Wow.
when you can process stuff like that, because your therapist will have you dig deep in
Yeah,
some of the most hurtful times
absolutely.
of your life or things said. People just think words just bounce off of you.
Yeah.
Now, when someone says something, now a stranger could say something to you and you might laugh and be like, girl, if you a ghost story, get out of here. But
Mm-hmm.
when someone that you love, admire,
Yes,
respect says something, it hit a little different.
that's right.
Mhm.
And you believe it because of how you view them. Because if they're saying it, it must be true.
Must be true. Yes.
Mm.
If
Yes.
a family member says you're ugly, you're not smart, or you're never going to be nothing, you almost take it to heart because it's coming from them. Maybe they're
Right.
true. Maybe some of it, though, is, got to remember they're angry, they're projecting,
Yes.
Yeah.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. They don't know how to get out of the rut of words spoken over them. So they're
Mm-hmm.
going to keep up that generational
Mm-hmm.
dysfunction by
Right.
speaking it over you.
Wow. Wow.
So isn't it powerful that when you say that, it goes back to the third step where you talked about checking in with others. Because
Yes.
Yes.
at the piece of it could be people that have been close to us in our
Mhm.
families or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
creating that new family or that new space with
That's good.
people
Amen.
that are positive that you trust could be part of that healing process. I
Yes.
really
Yes.
appreciated you sharing that in the
You're
book.
absolutely.
And Lady Eve, I don't want to.
You're good. You're good. We're
No,
just
and y'all were talking about,
yeah.
so those 3 pillars of checking in.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So checking in with God, checking in with others, checking in with yourself, right?
Yeah.
So if these aren't, why, if I'm not checking in with one, something's gonna be off and wobbly.
Ooh.
Or think of a chair.
That's
Think of
good.
that chair you're sitting on.
Yeah.
If it's 4 legs, 3 legs,
Yeah.
if something is off and wobbly, there's no stability. You're gonna
Right.
fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Wow.
tripod is going to fall. So what has been working for
Mm.
me these past 3 years is checking in with myself, checking in with others, checking in with God in no particular order, because the mothers of the church say you ought to be checking in with God first.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so what does checking in with myself look like? When I wake up in the morning, I affirm I'm gonna have a good day because I've been taught now how to respond to life when it comes. Right?
Mm.
Checking in with others, like you said, Sharon, how y'all doing? Or talking to my accountability partner. I was talking to someone this morning. She's like a spiritual mom, just talking to her, you know. And of course, checking in with God could be a moment of gratitude, or God knows when you're overwhelmed, tell him.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
just,
Yes.
whoo,
Yes.
God, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Lord,
Yeah.
I know I've been working through this pain and through this hurt, but I'm in some pain.
Mm.
I'm aggravated. I need you to overwhelm
Yes.
me with your peace.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
You know,
You know, the light bulb just clicked for me as you were even sharing the pillars, because there's no particular order. So
Mm.
yeah,
for some of us that may feel distant right now from God because of what we've been going through in our lives, having another person that
yeah,
has a cultivated relationship that we can go to may be the guide to help us restore that relationship with
Yeah.
God.
absolutely.
So
Now, but
That's
Sharon,
good.
how many people probably come to you or Lady E? You've given
Mm.
them solutions and they don't do nothing with it, because don't use me as a crutch either.
Yeah.
Because
mm,
now I'm starting to feel like you just wanted attention
Right. Right.
versus
that's good.
helping a solution. There's a saying that says, "Be careful of people who have a problem for every solution."
Mm.
Mhm. That's good.
So when you're checking in with others, are you really now there? I understand you could be checking in with somebody because you just want them to listen.
Yeah.
But after the 5th conversation about this same thing, I'm gonna interject some advice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna interject some
Right.
solution, sis.
Mhm, mhm.
And I know a
Okay,
coach who's like, uh, if you don't do the homework that I gave you, then there's no point in us having another session
another session.
That's right.
until you do what you were supposed to do in the first place.
That's right.
That's
That's
right.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
it. That's it. Leave me alone.
Jeez.
You hear me?
Woo, woo. This
So
has
that's
been
that
so phenomenal.
reciprocity and the balance when
Yes.
you do cultivate those, and you mentioned this, Michelle, in the book of cultivating those relationships where it won't be lopsided.
Mhm.
Yes.
You know, it's a healthy exchange, a good balance.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And one of my favorite books is Safe People by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr.
Mm.
John Townsend. Here I am reading that book thinking, I'm finna see if so and so is safe. If you say
Right.
I wasn't
Right.
safe,
Yeah.
I said, oh my Lord, here I am looking for safe people,
Right.
and I wasn't quite safe either.
Mm,
Mm.
wow.
Wow. Wow. Wow. Wow.
So get into it. Get
Ooh,
into it.
this has been so phenomenal. So
Yes, I'm
phenomenal.
looking up y'all's YouTube page because I was trying to share the link to my Twitter. But yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
looking at. That's what I was doing. But anywho, yeah. So I'm just like, we got to be safe for each other. What is safe? You know,
Mm.
maybe not talking about what somebody shared with you.
Mhm.
You know, that's being a safe person.
Yes.
Not being judgmental, and that can kind of be difficult. But when you've gone through your own stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it's you start having a little more compassion for what other people are going through.
That's true. That
That's
is true.
true. That's
That is
true.
so true.
You
Yeah.
know, and then checking in with yourself also looks like having boundaries for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Sharon and Lady E and others, you're probably like, listen, after 5 o'clock, I can't talk about coaching stuff.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Yep.
You know, it just having boundaries, that keeps
Yes.
you a safe person, and so you're not tired and saying stuff out of not having any strength.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Oh, so good. So good.
yes.
Ladies, final thoughts. What do you want the women and the gentlemen who are watching to take with them on tonight? I know we can't get through everything. This would have to unpack over weeks, but
I'll
you
come
know,
back.
yes.
I want to come
So,
in person though too.
oh, that we can definitely
Maybe
make
I'll
that
get my
happen.
top season person and
Yes,
warm pound cake,
warm
homemade.
pound. I know how to get. Yeah, we can hook you up with that warm pound cake.
My
Yeah,
God, y'all want me to go into a violent tongue?
yeah.
Whoa. Put a good old
Ooh,
nice pound cake that's nice and brown, not too
ooh.
light, not too. Woo!
I
You make
got
us
you.
hungry,
I got
Michelle.
you. Yes, we're gonna make
Listen,
that happen, Michelle.
that's
We're
how
gonna
I
make that happen.
heal.
Heal.
Pound
Yes.
cakes, and praise.
I love it. I love it. We definitely are gonna make that happen. We're definitely gonna make that happen. Ladies, final thoughts for our viewers. What do you want them to
Go
take
ahead, Miss
away?
Sharon.
I have the book, and the most profound statement. I mean, there was so many nuggets, but this quote right here from Michelle: regardless of what it cost me to check in, I had to come to realize it was a bargain compared to checking out.
Ooh,
Yes.
powerful.
That is powerful.
Powerful.
So doing the work and really being committed to checking in and staying in, I think is key.
Yes,
Amazing.
yes.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
aren't we so glad that the choice
Mhm.
of life, you know, was chosen?
Mhm.
When I think about a friend of mine who just lost his sister to suicide in July, the pain that is left behind when you
Mhm.
make that choice, you
Right.
know. And I hate that the enemy made her feel that nobody loved her.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the takeaway is somebody loves you. God himself sure enough loves you,
Absolutely.
but just think about the people that you'd leave behind if you made that choice. But also just know that that decision and other thoughts do not come from God.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So just like that would be my takeaway for people when those thoughts come in your head, because we have about either 50,000 or 70,000 thoughts
Mhm.
per day that come in our
Wow.
head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So it's hard to filter. Okay, is this God or is this the devil? Is this God?
Right.
This
Right.
God or this the devil? But as much as we can, think on these things. Things
Yes.
that are pure, things that are of good report, things that are praiseworthy. Just think on
Absolutely.
those things. If
Absolutely.
possible, because listen, I'm not married. I live alone. So I don't have nobody irritating me. So I'm
Listen.
able to think on these things a little better. But could you imagine when you got children, a
Yes,
husband, a
God.
wife, dogs,
Yes,
clients?
God.
Yeah.
You have to make the time. You have to make the time.
Okay. So it's like, oh Lord Jesus, I want
Yeah.
to think on these things, but you irritate me over
Right.
there, bro.
Yes,
I
for
thought that
sure.
thing too.
For sure.
So I
Ladies,
just love
thank
you
you
all.
so much. You can check Michelle's podcast out on iHeartRadio, Apple, and Spotify. And also on my website is a link for her book. And you can go to checkinginbook.com to get her information. And then Sharon, you can email her at Turner Coaching and Consulting. And also follow her on LinkedIn. So this has
Yes.
been such a needed conversation. And this has
Amen.
been such a just breath of fresh air. I'm just so excited that the women got a chance to be able to participate in this tonight. I know we have tons of comments and people who are watching, and it's just been phenomenal. And if you haven't gotten the book, you need to get the book. So I am actually going to reread the book because I was reading the book with the lens of having this discussion and other people. But now I'm going to read the book just for me, take my time and go through each part and really see what's for me. What do I need to get from me? And I think that this is a book that you need to check in with quarterly. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to have quarterly check-ins, just the girls on Anchored Woman, and we're going to check in with each other, and we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty and get for real, y'all. We need to get for real about our mental health, about our physical health, about our emotional health, about how we're doing spiritually. We need
That's
to
so good.
real.
So
We need
good.
to get real, and this is the time to do it. This is the time to do it. So I am just so thankful for my guests. If you were blessed tonight and you want to sow a seed into Alive Church, there's information you can do that as well. And I am just so thankful. Thank you. And so I know that some women were set free on tonight. That was our intention that we set. And so any last comments from you ladies? Good. You good?
I'm good. And just let's do this again.
Yes, we will. Well,
Right.
thank you all for watching. It has been a pleasure. And I will see you Sunday morning, 10 a.m., thealivechurchkc.com, and also on Facebook. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, it was dark back there. Hey there, this is Pastor Roland D of Alive Church, and I want to invite you to our special worship service this Sunday, 10 a.m. You can join us for our virtual experience where you can connect with us on YouTube, The Alive Church KC, or Facebook, Alive Church. Be there Sunday, 10 a.m. Will you join us?